Have you ever thought about quitting your job because it doesn't bring you any joy?
Yeah, because of my mental health. It's important. It's
Well,
important.
it's all
It
right if
doesn't
you,
matter.
as long as you've got 30 million in the bank, you'll be all right.
It's yeah, Prince Harry telling everyone that actually quitting your job could be a good thing. They call it the Great Resignation because all over the world, particularly in America and Britain, literally millions of people have quit their jobs because of the lockdowns, and it gives them a new perspective on life. Well, I would suggest that a lot of them are going to find out that the reason you have a job is to get money.
Yes.
And if you don't have any money, you're going to find you have a lot more mental health problems than you did when you had a job and you had money. So thank you very much for your vital intervention, Your Royal Highness, but shut your privileged trap.
Yes, quite
What the
right
hell
too.
is he talking about?
I know. But I mean, this is just, it's so illustrative, isn't it, of how out of touch these characters are. You know, they fly around in private jets. They don't know what it's like to actually queue up to get on a plane like everybody else does. They don't have any idea what it's like to wait at the end of a phone line for somebody to answer the phone because they've got other people that do that sort of thing for them. They don't have to go to the supermarket and buy a load of shopping and lug it all back to the house. You know, they've got slaves that do all that. And you go, well, maybe they should all quit their jobs and you have to do it all yourself.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, Harry, he really does need a lesson in how to put a sock in it. There are things that he should not comment on. And ordinary people's lives, going to work, earning a living, keeping a roof over your head, he knows nothing about that because it's always been given to him on a silver plate. And he says, oh, well, a lot of people have found that they had jobs that brought them no joy.
Yeah.
Most jobs don't bring anybody any joy, you stupid idiot. He just has no idea, does he? Most people hate their jobs. It's just a fact of life.
Yeah.
Some of us are lucky enough to enjoy our jobs, but we are very, very privileged to have that position. Most people, it's a chore, but you have to do it because you have to make money. You have to earn a living. You have to feed your kids. You have to keep a roof over your head. And that's the facts of life for ordinary people, not for royal people who never have to do a day's work in their damn lives.
Although he could always join the Foreign Office, where you don't apparently seem to have to work very hard either.
Yeah, well, you can work from home. Perhaps that's what all the Foreign Office staff are doing. They're working from home, waiting for Spotify and Netflix to ring up and say, would you like 100 million quid to do the square root of damn all? Oh, yes, please.
Yeah, right. Absolutely right. But it is pretty shocking, isn't it? But we've sort of known this all along. I've been railing about it, as I'm sure you have, for months and months and months, that some of these organisations, like the DVLA, like civil servants in Whitehall, you know, they're just not bothering. They're not doing anything. Half the reason that HGV drivers weren't available a few months back is because they couldn't get any licenses out of the DVLA because there's nobody working there. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, you know, excited though I am to be able to see the world through the prism of some junior civil servant, whistleblower, lefty worldview. You know, I'm not that bothered by what he says because he's clearly politically motivated against the Tories. So he's gone flat out to paint a very bleak picture of what went on. But the one central tenet of his accusation, his allegations, is obviously utterly true, that the Foreign Office, the civil service, the government was entirely incapable, utterly incapable of dealing with the Afghanistan travesty because no one was at work.
Right. Well, exactly.
I mean, that's the scandal. We've got to get civil servants back at work. Why can't the government turn around to the civil servants, never mind the unions, just say, here's the deal. If you come to work, you've got a job. If you don't, you're fired.
Yeah. I think that's absolutely fair because in the end, if they can't get them back to work by now, they'll never get them back. And a lot of these people are going, oh, but I like my work-life balance now. I don't like travelling in because it's not very good for me. And, you know, I'd like to just stay home if that's all right. And they're just clearly allowing them to do it. They shouldn't be.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. It's also been revealed, obviously, through this WFH syndrome, that a lot of civil servants, they don't have much to do. even if they go to work. So it doesn't really matter if they're
No.
sitting at home staring at their bedroom wall, looking at porn on their laptops, because they're not really missed. So actually, what we could really do is a root and branch review. Say, right, okay, clearly the civil service isn't working well now because not enough of them are coming in, but we definitely don't need all of them back.
No.
Because most of them are incredibly underemployed. That's why the government and the civil service chiefs could go, yeah, all right, yeah, mess around at home won't make much difference. But when you get something like Afghanistan, then this
Suddenly there is a problem, yeah.
turns into a tragedy.
Well, I mean, it reminds me of many years ago I went to India. One of the guys I was with had a friend who worked in the Indian Ministry of Defence. And we went round to his house and he said, I'm just off to work. And we went, all right. He said, well, don't go anywhere. I'll be back in a minute. And he went off into the office, put his jacket on the back of his chair and came back home. And he said, I do this every day. And he said, sometimes I have to move some papers from one tray to another. But basically, he said, I just don't bother really doing anything. And that was his job.
Well, don't forget that we taught the Indian nation bureaucracy.
Well, we gave them the civil service and set it up for them.
We took them civil service bureaucracy, and we took them our train system, and they've turned it into an art form. So yes, in India, they're lumbered with the British civil service system, but our civil service is becoming a massive problem. Apart from the fact they don't go to work, apart from the fact they don't achieve anything, they are a blockage to the way the government wants to operate. The Home Office won't instigate Priti Patel's moves to sort the migrant crisis. Right. If they don't like what the boss says, they won't do it. We've got to sort this out. It's a joke.
It really is. Meanwhile, one of the things this guy says, and I'm sure you'll dismiss it, is that the pen farthing operation actually did supposedly harm humans by putting animals first. But as you say, he's coming from a particular angle here, isn't he?
Well, of course he's coming from an angle. Pen farthing was looking after his own. He did his level best to get his animals and his people out of Afghanistan. And I'm sorry that this no-mark little junior civil servant doesn't like that, but I could care less what the hell he thinks. He clearly doesn't know much, except for the fact he's the junior in the office, and all of a sudden he was no longer making the coffee. He was having to look at a few emails because no one else was in the office. Give him credit for turning up, but apart from that, thanks very much, but no thanks.
No, absolutely right. Now, what do you got coming up for us tonight?
Well, I've got some good guests, really. I just think we're at the stage now, a bit like your show, Mike, where, we kind of know what the news agenda is. Yeah. Madness, panic and fear about a variant, Omicron, that doesn't seem to do anyone any harm. Right. No deaths, no hospitalizations, Christmas ruin for millions, including your good self. Yeah. What on earth is this government doing? The prospect of mandatory vaccines, the working from home syndrome with the civil servant, everything is going, the migrant crisis, everything is going wrong. So I want to talk to that. I've got Brendan O'Neill coming on for half an hour to discuss the state of the nation. I've got David Mellor coming on to give his always acerbic views on the current government. So we are literally going to be doing a state of the nation address tonight because it's time we all got to grips. This country is going to hell in a handcart. It's got to be sorted out. Yeah. What on earth does Boris think he's doing? The country's falling apart at the seams, and he's dressing up as a copper standing outside the house in Liverpool.
That's going to be one of the most ridiculous pictures I've ever seen. And I said yesterday when he popped up on TV that he's out there kind of, pretending he's a policeman. He's spending most of his time pretending he's the Prime Minister because he doesn't seem to know what the job entails, doesn't seem to know what he should be doing. And I actually put a tweet out this morning saying, does anybody in this government actually know what they're doing? Because it's a genuinely, important question.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, his war on drugs will fail. I mean, they've been having a war on drugs since the mid-1960s. And here's the news, folks. Drugs always win. This is just a publicity campaign. And when he's standing outside that Liverpool drugs den wearing his stupid police hat and everything, characteristically with his sort of shirt hanging up like this and his tie hanging out, somebody tweeted a picture saying, hobo cop.
Very good. But it is. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, the number of times we've had a war on drugs, and it's only ended up with yet more drugs coming into the country. I mean, I'm told that for every shipment of cocaine that they stop at some port or other, another 8 get through. So, you know, it's built into the system. The drug smugglers know that that's what's going on. So it doesn't bother them if they occasionally get arrested or occasionally some stuff gets confiscated, because they've got so much of it coming in anyway. They're doing fine, thanks.
Yeah, this war on drugs will fail. They always do. You know, we all disapprove of drugs and it is a scourge, but, you know, the demand will always be there. Therefore, the supply will be there. And all these headline hitting statements from Boris and the gang about, oh, we're going to target middle class drug users. Right. Well, fine. If you think catching a lawyer with a wrap of cocaine in his pocket is in any way going to sort the problem out, you don't understand the problem. Yeah. You should be targeting the big suppliers, the big dealers. And now we've got these sort of stories. Kit Morthouse saying, what we're going to do is we're going to send dog squads outside posh stations like Sloane Square so we can catch middle-class people with drugs in their pockets. You know, first of all, you know, okay, fine. You know, they're breaking the law. By all means, arrest them. But is that the look you want? Is that the country you want? Coppers standing outside stations with dogs trying to catch people.
Well, they're more likely to try and arrest you if you've got a mask on at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, get the dealers, you idiots. Never mind the lawyers and the doctors at Sloane Square Station. It's just mad. It's mad, and it will not work.
Also, it's sort of typical, isn't it, for them to go, oh, Sloane Square, that's quite a wealthy place. There must be loads of doctors and lawyers, probably loads of them on drugs. I mean, why Sloane Square, for heaven's sake? I mean, it's just ridiculous. The whole idea is a PR stunt, and it doesn't work. I'll see you later on this afternoon, Kevin. Thank you very much indeed. Kevin O'Sullivan